Time has never been kind to the Frasers, but it's never forgotten them either. In the explosive opening of Outlander Season 8, Jamie and Claire Fraser face their most devastating test yet, not just against war or destiny, but against time itself. The Revolutionary War burns across the colonies, alliances crumble, and love is pushed to its breaking point. But even as chaos reigns, one truth remains unshaken. Can love truly outlast time? Or will time finally claim what it's owed? In this episode breakdown, we'll dive deep into the themes, key moments, hidden symbolism, and emotional turns of Outlander Season 8, Episode 1, Jamie and Claire's Last Stand Against Time. The episode opens in haunting silence. Smoke rolls across a blood-soaked field, the distant crackle of dying fires, the only sound left after the storm of battle. The camera moves slowly, almost reverently, over broken weapons and motionless bodies, until it finds Jamie Fraser, standing amid the wreckage. His once proud uniform is torn, his face streaked with dirt and grief. There's no triumph in his eyes, only exhaustion and sorrow. The Revolutionary War, now deep in its bloody course, has left the colonies scarred, and the Frasers' dream of peace buried beneath the ashes. The land that was once their refuge, Fraser's Ridge, is now nothing more than blackened ruins. Smoke rises where laughter once echoed, and the scent of pine and bread has been replaced by gunpowder and decay. Jamie walks through the devastation, his boots sinking into the mud where men once marched proudly. In his silence, we see the heavy cost of freedom. He bends to help bury the dead, his large hands trembling as he whispers ancient Gaelic prayers for the souls of his fallen brothers. Each mound of earth feels like another wound carved into his heart. Go with God, lads. May the find peace where we could not. There's a painful intimacy in the scene. Jamie, the warrior, the leader, the husband, now reduced to a solitary man haunted by what he's lost. His once fiery spirit flickers, dimmed by the weight of too many farewells. He has fought for kings, for freedom, for home, but every cause seems to demand another piece of him. Not far from him, Claire works in the makeshift camp of survivors. Her healer's tent is a sanctuary built from torn cloth and shattered hope. Around her, the air is thick with cries of pain, but her voice remains calm, her movements sure. Her hands are steady as she stitches wounds, sets broken bones, and wipes blood from pale faces. Yet behind her calm eyes, turmoil brews. The war has forced her to confront not just physical suffering, but the growing superstition that surrounds her. Word has spread among soldiers and villagers alike: the English healer who knows too much, the woman whose medicines come from no known source. Claire hears their whispers even as she works. Witch, sorceress, unnatural. The same fear that once chased her through the highlands now circles again. Every life she saves becomes a double-edged miracle, admired by the desperate, condemned by the fearful. Between tending to the wounded, she steals glances toward Jamie. Their eyes meet across the smoke and ruin, two souls bound by something deeper than time. In that brief exchange, no words are needed. He sees her pain, she feels his despair. The war has taken so much from them, yet it cannot touch what they've built together. Still, as the fires smolder and night creeps across the horizon, there's an unspoken truth neither can ignore. They are running out of time. The war is far from over, and the shadow of fate ever patient, ever watching, waits just beyond the light of the campfire. Night settles gently over the battlefield, its darkness draping the shattered land like a shroud. The fires of war have dimmed to faint embers, glowing softly against the chill of the evening. In the midst of this fragile calm, Jamie Fraser makes his way back to camp, his steps heavy, his breath uneven. He moves like a man both alive and haunted, carrying the weight of every choice, every death, every promise he's ever made. He finds Claire near the edge of the encampment, kneeling beside the wounded. Her hair glows in the firelight, streaked with soot and sweat. Yet there is still grace in her movement, steady, sure, unyielding. She finishes tending to a soldier's wound, offers him a faint smile of comfort, and finally lets herself exhale. When she looks up and sees Jamie approaching, the air between them changes. The chaos around them fades to silence. For just a heartbeat, time seems to hold its breath. Jamie doesn't speak at first. Words feel small against the enormity of what they've endured. He kneels beside her, his hands rough and scarred, reaching for hers. She hesitates, as if afraid the moment will dissolve if she touches him. But then she does, and the tension breaks. Her fingers curl around his, grounding him, reminding them both that despite everything they've lost, this still remains. They sit together by the fire, the flicker of its light dancing across their faces. Ash drifts in the air like falling snow, and the scent of smoke clings to their skin. Around them, the camp settles into uneasy rest, the moans of the injured fading into the night. For a while, they don't speak. They simply exist in the quiet, leaning into each other's warmth. Finally, Jamie breaks the silence. His voice is low, roughened by exhaustion and emotion. "You and me, we've stolen more time than we ever deserved." Claire looks at him, her expression soft but resolute. "Then let's keep stealing it." A faint smile tugs at Jamie's lips, the kind that carries both love and sadness. He pulls her closer, his arm wrapping around her shoulders as if to shield her from a world that keeps taking. Their foreheads touch, and for a fleeting moment, the firelight between them feels like the only thing keeping the darkness away. This scene is quiet, but it's the kind of quiet that hurts. It's the calm after devastation, the moment when love isn't about passion, but about endurance. Their bond, forged through wars, centuries, and death itself, feels both eternal and impossibly fragile. Every touch, every glance is tinged with the awareness that their time may be running out. Claire senses it too, the strange heaviness in the air, the faint hum of the stones that has begun to echo again in her dreams. She doesn't speak of it, not yet. Tonight, she chooses peace, even if it's temporary. She leans against Jamie's chest, listening to the steady rhythm of his heart. As long as it beats, she thinks, "I'm still here. We're still here." The camera lingers on the two of them, framed by firelight and ruin, a love that has survived everything but still trembles in the face of time. The wind picks up, scattering ashes into the night sky like sparks of memory. And though the world around them is broken, in this moment, Jamie and Claire Fraser are whole. The days after the battle pass in uneasy quiet. The air is thick with the scent of rain and smoke. The ground still scarred from cannon fire. Life begins to move again in small, fragile ways, of soldiers rebuilding tents, survivors tending to the wounded. But for Claire Fraser, the world has taken on a strange, trembling edge. At first, she thinks it's fatigue or grief. The hum comes faintly at the edge of her hearing, like a vibration felt more in the bones than in the air. It rises when she's alone, when the world falls still. A low, resonant sound, steady, pulsing, alive. She knows that sound too well. It's the song of the stones. Each night, the hum grows louder, its rhythm syncopated with her heartbeat, impossible to ignore. Claire begins to dream again of Crayna, down the circle of standing stones that tore her from one century and bound her to another. In her dream, the wind roars across the moor, carrying whispers that she cannot decipher. The stones shimmer under a gray, merciless sky, their surfaces rippling like water. But this vision is not like before. There's a darkness, a shadow between the stones. Something unseen moves just beyond the veil. She feels it watching her, waiting. The wind carries a voice, faint, broken, calling her name. It's not Jamie's voice. It's something older, something that doesn't belong to either world. When Claire wakes, her breath comes in gasps, her palms slick with sweat. The fire has burned low beside her, and Jamie sleeps nearby, his arm draped protectively over her waist. She looks at him, at the quiet strength in his face, and for a moment, she's grounded again. But the fear lingers, the certainty that time itself is shifting, that the line between past and future is thinning once more. During the day, she tries to dismiss it. She focuses on her patience, on the rebuilding efforts, on Jamie's reassuring presence. Yet there are moments when the world flickers, small, unsettling lapses that make her question her senses. The flicker of light that seems out of place. A sound that doesn't belong to this century. A glimpse of something metallic and modern, half buried in the mud. Reality itself feels unstable, as though time is breathing unevenly around her. Jamie notices before she can hide it. Her silences grow longer, her eyes distant. He catches her staring at the horizon, as if expecting something or someone to emerge from it. One night, as they sit together by the fire, he reaches for her hand. "You're far away again, Sassenach," he says softly. "Tell me what it is." She hesitates. How can she tell him that she hears time itself calling, that she feels the pull of 2 centuries tugging at her soul? Instead, she forces a smile that doesn't reach her eyes. "Just tired," she whispers. Outside, the wind rises, whispering through the trees with an all-too-familiar hum. Claire closes her eyes, and for a fleeting instant, she hears the stones again calling her home, or warning her to run. The scene shifts with a breath of wind, a transition from firelight and muskets to the soft hum of modern electricity. It's the 20th century, and the world looks steadier, calmer, but beneath its surface, the same pulse of fate stirs. The camera glides over rolling green hills, a quiet Scottish morning bathed in silver mist. Inside a modest home, the Mackenzies are rebuilding what they lost, a family trying to find normalcy after a lifetime spent between centuries. Brianna Fraser Mackenzie stands at her workbench, her red hair caught by the light pouring through the window. Blueprints scatter across the table, a hydroelectric design she's been refining for months. It's a symbol of her determination to ground herself, to build something lasting in a world that once shifted beneath her feet. But there's a restlessness in her movements, an unease that betrays her calm exterior. Every now and then, she glances toward the horizon, as though expecting the past to come walking out of the mist in another room. Roger teaches their children, Jem and Mandy, about music, the melody of bagpipes playing softly on an old record. His voice is warm and patient, his eyes filled with the kind of peace he's long fought to keep. Yet even he feels it, the subtle vibration in the air, the ghost of a sound that isn't coming from any record. Late at night, when the world falls silent, he hears it again, faint, distant bagpipes echoing from nowhere, a tune he hasn't heard since the 18th century. At first he tells himself it's imagination. After all, the past is behind them, the stones are far away, time travel was supposed to be over. But when Jem begins to speak of dreams, vivid ones, where a man in tartan calls his name from across a field of mist, Roger's confidence begins to crack. He said my name. Duh, Jem whispers one morning wide-eyed. He said, come home. Brianna overhears and feels a chill she can't explain. Her mind, trained in logic and reason, rejects it instantly. Dreams are dreams. Children imagine things. But her heart, the part that carries the blood of Jamie Fraser, knows better. That old inherited instinct hums beneath her skin. The same one that once told her mother the world was about to shift. As days pass, the signs grow stronger. Clocks stop for a breath. The air hums near standing stones she's never seen. Even Mandy, still small and innocent, hums the same tune. Roger's been hearing a tune that doesn't belong to this time. Brianna tries to focus on work, on the children, on life's simple rhythm. But the unease becomes impossible to ignore. In one striking scene, she stands by a window at dusk, the reflection of her family flickering behind her, and whispers, please, not again. The lights flicker in response, and the faint sound of wind, that same eerie hum Claire once heard centuries ago, seeps through the walls. The veil between times is thinning once more, its pull stretching across generations, defying reason, defying history. The episode cuts between timelines, Claire and Jamie staring into a dark horizon, and Brianna and Roger staring into the same storm centuries apart. The symmetry is unmistakable. The past and present are aligning again, drawing the Frasers back into the inevitable circle of time. This isn't just a haunting, it's a warning. The stones are stirring, and the Frasers' fate is waking up once more. The camera returns to the 18th century, where the smoke of battle still lingers like a ghost that refuses to fade. The earth is scarred, the rivers run dark, and yet amid the ruin, young Ian Murray moves with quiet purpose. He is no longer the wide-eyed boy who once followed his uncle into war. He has become something else, tempered by loss, shaped by choices that have carved deep lines into his soul. The episode finds Ian alone at first, tracking through the forest with his bow slung across his back. The woods, damp with rain, seem to breathe around him. Each crack of a twig, each sigh of wind through the leaves, feels alive, whispering to him, reminding him of ghosts he cannot escape. His time among the Mohawk taught him the sacred balance between life and death, but war has stripped that balance away. The land feels wounded, and so does he. He comes across a battlefield forgotten by both sides, a patch of earth littered with the dying and the dead. Among them, he hears a faint cry. A young soldier, no more than 16, clinging to life. Without hesitation, Ian drops to his knees beside him. His hands, rough from battle, tremble as he presses cloth against the boy's wound. The scene mirrors Claire's compassion, her eternal fight to preserve life no matter which banner it fought under. Easy now, lad, Ian murmurs, his voice low and steady. You're not alone. The boy's eyes flutter, his breath ragged. Ian whispers words in Gaelic prayers he learned as a child, the same ones his mother once said over his cradle. It's a moment of quiet grace in the chaos. The camera lingers on Ian's face, grief and gentleness intertwining. When the boy finally slips into stillness, Ian closes his eyes and bows his head. He buries the young soldier beneath a fallen oak, marking the grave with a small stone. Then he sits in silence, the weight of the act pressing down on him. Saving the boy had not saved his soul, but for the first time, he feels something stir inside, a fragile sense of peace. He realizes that redemption isn't about undoing the past, it's about honoring it, carrying the weight without letting it destroy you. Later, Ian returns to Jamie's camp, his clothes streaked with mud and blood. Jamie sees the shadow in his nephew's eyes, the same one he carries himself and understands without a word. The two share a quiet exchange, one built on unspoken respect and shared scars. "Ye did right by the lad," Jamie says softly. "Right or wrong, it won't bring him back," Ian replies. "No," Jamie says, placing a hand on his shoulder, "but it'll bring you back. One day." This small moment between uncle and nephew carries the emotional heartbeat of the episode. Their bond rooted in loyalty, pain, and love remains one of the show's purest threads. But there's something changing in Ian. The camera follows him as he gazes into the fire that night. The flames reflected in his eyes. There's a quiet resolve there, a sense that his journey is beginning to diverge from Jamie's. He is still a Fraser, still bound by blood and honor, but destiny is calling him down a different path, a path of his own making, one tied not just to war, but to legacy. As dawn breaks, Ian mounts his horse and rides out through the mist, the sound of hoofbeats echoing like a heartbeat against the hills. His redemption has only just begun. The final act of the episode unfolds like a fever dream, time itself no longer a silent observer, but a living, breathing presence pressing against the edges of reality. The air feels charged, as though every heartbeat, every breath, every flicker of flame is counting down to something inevitable. Claire moves through the remnants of the camp, her steps unsteady. The war has paused for a moment, but peace still feels like a stranger. Her hands shake as she rinses blood from a basin, and when she glances up, her reflection in the water shifts. For an instant, she sees something impossible, a flash of steel and concrete. The shadow of a city skyline shimmering beneath the surface. She gasps, stumbling backward. The sound of the stones hum echoes faintly in her ears, low and pulsing, like a heartbeat from another world. At first, she tries to reason it away. Exhaustion, grief, perhaps madness. But then the visions grow stronger, flashes of future wars, the roar of engines, the crackle of electricity. She hears voices not from the 18th century, but from beyond it. Names she doesn't know, faces she almost recognizes. It's as if time itself is unraveling, and the threads of past and future are tangling in her mind. Meanwhile, Jamie begins to dream again, dreams drenched in fire and water. He sees waves crashing over ships, flames devouring fields, and in the distance, a woman's voice calling his name through smoke. These are not new visions. They are echoes of the omens that haunted earlier seasons, symbols of parting and loss. But this time, the imagery feels closer, heavier, like prophecy rather than memory. In one haunting scene, Jamie wakes in the middle of the night, drenched in sweat, and finds Claire already sitting by the fire, her face illuminated by the dying glow. Their eyes meet, and for a long moment, neither speaks. Then, softly, Claire says, "If time comes for us again, promise me one thing." "What's that?" Jamie asks, voice hoarse. "That you'll find me wherever I am." Jamie takes her hand, rough and calloused, and presses it to his chest. "I've found the through death, through war, through centuries. I'll find ye again." The camera lingers on their clasped hands, a simple, trembling gesture that carries the weight of lifetimes. Around them, the night feels alive. The wind stirs, whispering through the trees, carrying the low hum of something ancient and powerful. As dawn breaks, the light outside their cabin turns crimson. The world seems to hold its breath. Then, in a chilling final shot, the camera cuts to the standing stones. Craynod done, or perhaps another circle altogether. The stones shimmer faintly beneath the blood-red sky, their surfaces glowing with an otherworldly pulse. The hum that Claire hears in her mind now echoes across the land, deep and resonant. The episode ends there, no answers, only dread and wonder. The audience is left with one lingering question, heavy and unspoken. Is fate calling them back, or warning them to run? The final moments of the episode are drenched in quiet, the kind of silence that follows only after devastation. The camera drifts slowly across the battlefield, its once violent chaos now eerily still. Smoke curls upward into the pale morning sky, mingling with the soft gold of the rising sun. The air carries the faint scent of ash and iron, the remnants of lives shattered and promises broken. Jamie Fraser stands at the crest of a hill, his silhouette outlined against the dawn. His sword hangs heavy at his side, streaked with the memory of battle. Around him lie the wounded, the fallen, and the forgotten men who fought for freedom, for loyalty, for names that history may never remember. But Jamie remembers. He always will. His eyes, weary yet defiant, take in the horizon as if searching for something that still feels just out of reach. Peace, below him. Claire moves among the remnants of war like a spirit of mercy. Her apron is stained with blood, her hands trembling as she binds wounds and closes eyes that will never open again. She works in silence, her healer's heart pushing against the weight of despair. Every life she saves feels like defiance. Every one she loses feels like a debt she never repay. The whispers of witchcraft linger in the air, but so does something stronger, reverence. Even in the rubble, even in fear, Claire embodies hope. As the sun climbs higher, its light cuts through the haze, painting the land in soft hues of gold and crimson. The camera slowly circles the Frasers, two figures standing amid ruin, still reaching for each other. There's no music, no dialogue, just the sound of the wind moving through the field. Then, softly, Claire's voice begins to speak, not to Jamie, but to us. Time bends, it breaks, it heals, and it destroys, but it never forgets. Her words echo through the empty sky, layered with memory and ache. The screen cuts to fleeting images, the stones at Craigna Dun, their surfaces glowing faintly. Brianna looking toward the horizon in another century. Roger writing by candlelight, a faint hum filling the air. Ian riding into the mist, his silhouette fading into the trees. Each image feels like a thread, delicate, fraying, but still connected. Claire's voice continues, softer now, as if carried on the wind. And neither will we. The shot returns to Jamie and Claire. He reaches for her hand, and she takes it, a small, trembling act of love against the vastness of time. Their fingers intertwine, blood and dirt mixing, the warmth of life defying everything that tries to tear them apart. The camera lingers on their hands, the firelight flickering across their skin. Then, as the wind rises and the light fades, the screen darkens, the world dissolving into shadow. Claire's voice returns one last time, quiet and haunting. Her tone laced with both sorrow and strength. Can love truly outlast time, or will time finally claim what it's owed? A single note of music swells, a mournful violin echoing through silence. Before the screen fades completely to black. End of episode.